there was some compelling stuff in that first episode of It Needed to Be Said, including comments from Tyreek Hill regarding Patrick Mahomes versus Tua Tagovailoa. We heard a little bit at the top. That's just a taste. It's just a flavor. Here's a little more. Tyreek on Mahomes and Tua.
I've had a chance to see Tua throw the ball to myself, but, man,
that's the next question.
Like, he's that dude, bro. Like, what a lot of people don't know, like, I'm not just sitting here just saying this because he's my quarterback now. And
you're not going to give us the T or tears, are you?
Nah,
that's
bro,
my quarterback.
Like,
we're not going to get that.
I'm not trying to get more targets right now, but what I'm trying to say is Tua is that deal, bro.
He has an arm.
He has a heck of an arm, bro. He's accurate. He can throw the deep ball, and he actually goes through his reads. What people are like on Twitter are like saying, "Oh, he doesn't go through his reads." Man, this dude, that dude. So
do you think it's just a comparison issue? You know, the media pundits. We've seen a lot of people talking about Tyreek. He's going to regret this trade. He's going to a quarterback who doesn't have an arm. He's this. He's that.
I'm gonna tell you like this, man.
How do you deal with that? Like, that's your quarterback. I know you're not going to give us the T.O. tears, right? I know you're not. But how do you deal with that? I know that's your quarterback. You got to protect him.
Oh, yes. Man, look.
But I know you said he got an arm.
Right.
Who got the strongest arm? Tua or Pat Mahomes?
Tua or Patrick Mahomes? Obviously, like, I'm going to go with 1.5 as the strongest arm. But as far as accuracy-wise, I'm going with Tua all day.
So which one would you rather have? The deep ball where you got to scramble around the field to try to go find it? Or do you want that accuracy to hit you right in the bread basket on the run?
I want it to hit me right in the bread basket, just like I did in the Buffalo Bills game and take it 70. And the rest is history.
Julius Collins is the co-host of It Needed to Be Said. He is Tyreek Hill's longtime lawyer, and he knows how to stir it up just enough and then back it off. There were several times where he said, "You're not taking shots at anybody here. It just needed to be said," after the shot was already taken. Like, oh, no, we're not taking any shots here. Shots already taken, Julius. Too late to put the toothpaste back in the toothpaste holder or tube, as the case may be. So, and all this does, practical reality here. It puts more pressure on Tua. Everything that Tyreek Hill said is going to put more pressure on Tua to be accurate, to run the offense effectively, to deliver the football in the breadbasket. Because Tua specifically is expected to put the ball in the breadbasket of Tyreek Hill so he can go 70 yards like he did against Buffalo. So we'll see. But it doesn't put less pressure on Tua. It doesn't lower the bar. You know, I mean, maybe Tyreek Hill should have said, well, there's only one Patrick Mahomes. Tua's trying to, every other quarterback out there is trying to beat Patrick Mahomes right now. He's the platinum standard. He's the guy. He's been that guy. He's shown it year in and year out. Other guys will have a good year, and then they step back a little bit, and then they try to work it back around. But Patrick Mahomes is the one, and Tua's trying to get there, and he's got a long way to go. They all have a long way to go, and I'm going to try to help him get there. That puts a lot less pressure on him than he's more accurate than Patrick Mahomes.
Well, I mean,
Good
what
Lord.
you just said, I know. I mean, what you just said is basically what Devontae Adams said last week when some Yahoo asked him, like, compare Derek Carr with Aaron Rodgers. Like, I hate when you ask questions like that. I'm sorry. And, like, I'm calling out people who, like, are giving us fodder for what we do. But, like, don't ask that question because that puts the player in an inherently bad position. Right? Like, how are you really supposed to compare Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers? So I thought Devontae Adams gave a very thoughtful answer, and he said it's like comparing apples to oranges, right? I mean, like, this is like comparing, I don't know, like Ferraris to, I don't know, something else, right? Like a Kia Sedona. I don't know. Like, that's not, what are we doing with Patrick Mahomes and Tua Tagovailoa? Like, stop. Patrick Mahomes, as you said, he's there. He's been there. He's shown that he can do it every single year. And last year, they had to do some creative stuff in order to make sure that Patrick Mahomes could accurately deliver the ball to Tyreek Hill so he could take it 70 yards. Again, that was a pass delivered by Patrick Mahomes, which is a weird thing to cite when you're talking about Tua Tagovailoa's accuracy, at least in my opinion. But what do I know?
Well, and we've never seen it. They're running around in shorts and no pads, And sometimes helmets, sometimes no helmets. It's way too early to know what Tua is going to do week one. Peter King made that point 10 days ago when Tua had his press conference where he was a little salty, a little snippy. Again, my message to Tua is it's your own damn team social media group that put that video out there of the punt return. Like, I mean, don't complain about it. We're just reacting to what your employer put on social media. So,
quack.
Exactly. And Peter said none of it matters. Well, it does matter because it sets the table for what's to come. But what does matter is September. And now there's just more pressure. There was already plenty of pressure on Tua, starting with that clip that the Dolphins put on social media, continuing with Tua talking himself up, now Tyreek talking Tua up, putting him on the same level with Patrick Mahomes. I guess that's, and I agree with what you're saying. We never turn down an opportunity to have content, especially in the months that begin with JU. However, you don't compare Aaron Rodgers to Derek Carr. You don't compare Patrick Mahomes to Tua Tagovailoa. You compare Mahomes to Rodgers. That's what you do. It's inherently disrespectful to compare an all-time great to a guy who is still working his way toward even being in the conversation on the fringes of one of the best 10 quarterbacks currently in the game.
No doubt. That's why, those kinds of things frustrate me, and it would frustrate me as beat writer. But I mean, I think that there already was, as you were saying, that pressure on Tua. I mean, look, he was probably going to get replaced with Tom Brady, which is still not a bigger story, even though Tom Brady issued a non-denial denial last week when he was asked about it, right? So
it wasn't even a non-denial denial. It was a non-denial confirmation.
Yeah, pretty much. So we already know that, if things don't really work out with Tua in a critical third season, then Miami's going to try to look elsewhere. That's just what happens at the quarterback position at this point. So they've done a lot to try to surround Tua with good receivers, right? When you're talking about Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, that's good, right? You got Mike Gesicki as a tight end. That's also good. I think Mike McDaniel should come in there and run a really effective scheme for somebody like Tua, because if you look at what the San Francisco 49ers have done in the last few years with Jimmy Garoppolo and being able to get to a Super Bowl and an NFC championship game with that guy, you take that same kind of system and put it with Tagovailoa, it should work out very well when you've got elite pass catchers. But that being said, he still has to go out there and do it. And, we just don't know until he actually either does or doesn't.
It's going to make for a very interesting season 2, episode 1 of It Needed to Be Said.
Next year.
When the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, if it makes it to season 2, when the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins entering season 2 for Tyreek Hill as a member of the team is Tom Brady or Lamar Jackson or you got to keep up. That was I dropped that bomb last week on Rich Eisen's show, and they were all very surprised. But you know what? It's been on my radar screen. I talked to somebody you could argue is in the know about this weeks ago. And there's a way this thing unfolds in Baltimore where the Ravens just get exasperated and say, we're going to tag him and we're going to trade him. And the number one destination next year for a veteran quarterback looking to go to a place where the deck is stacked in his favor is going to be Miami. The only question this year, does Tua do enough? And there's a different vibe. With Jalen Hurts, it feels like they're all in because they went out and got his good friend A.J. Brown, right? It feels like they're doing everything they can to support Jalen Hurts. In Miami, same idea, different vibe. In Miami, the vibe is no excuses for Tua. If you don't get it done this year, we got to find another quarterback. It's a subtle difference, but I think it just all comes down to the relationship, the personal relationship between Brown and Hurts versus the personal relationship between Hill and Tua. Although, based on season 1, episode 1, it needed to be said, maybe they already have a friendship as close as Brown and Hurts. And I don't know, maybe Hill's going to be the key in breaking the tie between sticking with Tua next year or going and getting someone else until they sit down with Tyreek and say, hey, you know what? We can get you Tom Brady this year. Or we can get you Lamar Jackson this year. We can get you Patrick Mahomes this year. I'm kidding about that one. But another point, too, and I really do think, and I'm looking for where it is in this article from Friday night. I found it. At one point, Tyreek Hill sounds off about not being allowed last year to go see his grandfather who had prostate cancer, and the Chiefs wouldn't let him go. And I feel like there's a little edge there beyond any of this business stuff that we've been discussing. Right. There's a little, and maybe business becomes personal if you think the business isn't being handled the right way. So you start looking for things to be indignant about that you otherwise wouldn't be bothered by. But the one thing that I think that is at the core of this, and Rosenhaus was in the middle of articulating it, and Tyreek Hill jumped in and pushed back. But Rosenhaus is going to know. Rosenhaus has dealt with hundreds of guys over the years. He knows what guys want. He knows from talking to them and dealing with them what they want. I think it came down to Tyreek Hill was not the biggest fish in Kansas City. It's Patrick Mahomes and maybe Travis Kelce. That Tyreek Hill was never elevated to Mahomesian level. In Miami, it's all about Tyreek. Everything's being built around Tyreek. It's Tyreek, Tyreek, Tyreek. And even though he said, I don't care about the notoriety, I kind of think he does. And I'm going to defer to Rosenhaus because he knows his clients, past, present, and future, even future. He probably knows. He can probably read a guy in a 5-minute conversation as to where he fits within all the various personality types he's dealt with over the years. So when Rosenhaus is making this case for Mahomes is the king in Kansas City, and now Tyreek can be the king in Miami, and Tyreek kind of pushes him back and shouts him down, I'm thinking maybe Drew was onto something, and Tyreek just didn't want to have that said on It Needed to Be Said. Hey, Drew, that doesn't need to be said.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, and then, we can talk about definitions of notoriety. Like, I don't think that he actually does want notoriety. He probably just wants fame or celebrity. But anyway.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, anyway, well done, Columbia.
I know. Yeah, sorry. These things are the things that bother me. Like when it's like 15 items or less, it's 15 items or fewer at the grocery store. Anyway, I just feel like there's something there with Tyreek where it's like, yeah, you probably can be the biggest fish in the pond in Miami as a dolphin, as we continue with like water animals and analogies. Like I just there's something there with that, and there is something to that. I mean, whether we want it or not, whether we feel like we want it or not, sometimes inherently there are things within us that's like, man, like if I can be at the top, if I can be on the billboards, if I can be the one guy that people think of as the face of the franchise, like that's something. I think that there is something to that.
Notoriety, noun, the state of being famous or well-known for some bad quality or deed. So, yes, notoriety is something that Tyreek Hill has had that he is trying to erase, and that they spent most of the first 20 minutes of episode 1, season 1, if it needed to be said, just flat out ignoring. So he already has the notoriety in Kansas City. The question is how much of the notoriety follows him into South Florida.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.